Hi everybody, it's Raina at the Closet Crafter Studio. I don't know about you all, but I oftentimes struggle with making snippets. It's one thing that I struggle with the most. I always feel like they never come out right, or I just don't know what to put in them. So, I've been crafting like crazy since I'm on summer break, and I decided to try it again. And I've come up with kind of a formula for creating quick and easy snippets, and a lot of them all at once. So I thought I'd get on here and share with you guys the ones that I've made so far, and then just go over really quickly how I made them, what materials I used, and just how easy it can be. So here's just what I made a little earlier. They've got buttons and little pieces, ribbon, lace, just pretty much scraps of stuff, because one, that's what I had laying around and needed to use up, and two, I just wanted to try my hand at making them and not overthink them, because I feel like I do that a lot, especially with these small little items, because they're such cute little details that I love to add but spend way too much time on. And then I get a little discouraged when they don't come out exactly like I wanted to. But these came out super cute. They were really easy. So I'm going to go over with you today just how I made these. So move these to the side. So the first thing I did was a book page, and I tore off the straight edges. And these edges I will reuse either in snippet rolls, paper ruffles, or in paper making. My kids love paper making with me, and that's actually one of our summer projects, because I'm running low from last year. So I'll put those to the side. Then I just took the page, tore it in half, and then tore it in three. And then tore each one of those three in half. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 snippets in probably under 10 to 15 minutes. Now, I did not ink every bit of everything in the snippet, but because the book page is such a prominent part, I did go ahead and ink the edges on these. And inking is one of those things that I find like satisfying as well as way too time consuming. So I love the way it looks when it's done. I love the difference that it makes immediately on any project, but sometimes I feel like I spend way too much time inking. So I'm just doing these super quick. All right, now that I have these done, I just kind of laid them out so there was a little bit of space in between, so I could just cut and organize and go as I went. And the first thing I did was get a bunch of scrap ribbon and fabric from my stash. That's mostly ribbon. Let me see if I can find some scrap fabric here. I'm trying to do more neutrals so that I can use these in any project, but I don't mind adding a pop of color here and there. So like this piece is just a piece of scrap fabric, so I'm going to cut it down to probably just over an inch in length or in width. It's not straight, it's not perfect. Again, I'm doing this quick and painless. I'm not spending a whole lot of time thinking about it or worrying about it. All right, so here's this. And all I did was stretch out these fingers and snip and place it underneath the piece of paper. Just so that I can begin layering as I go. So I know what I need to add or what I want to look for as I'm going through and building these up. I found that having a solid paper or fabric base really helps it slide through the sewing machine because I will be sewing on these. The next thing I did was go for a wider piece of ribbon or lace. So let me look and see what I have. I've got some of this blue stuff. That'll go nice with that. Again, I'm just taking it between my index finger and my middle finger and my thumb and just snippet it about there. And I'm just looking to build these up right now. I'm not worried so much about placement right now. I'll organize the placement as I sew them. All right, then I'm going to take a couple pieces of thinner ribbon and add that. Here's my bag of scrap ribbon and string and lace and things. I thought I had some green in here, but I've got this really pretty pink. That I quite like. And it'll look good. Little pop of color. Next, I decided to add some of this floral garden mesh ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I just love this stuff. I think it's such a pretty design and texture. And I don't find it very often, so I buy it up as soon as I can. And I feel like it adds a nice little touch. And these are only about an inch wide. They're not much more narrow than the piece of paper. We're about the same size. Now, finally, I'm gonna pick some embellishments, and I have a few things here on my desk. I'm just gonna go ahead and use up. They're already sitting out. Just tiny little pieces of whatever. So I've got this little flower. Got those little flowers. I've got this piece. It's kind of big, so I'm gonna and then I've got these little stamps. These are actually stickers, but I'm not even going to worry about taking the backing off. Now that I've got these little piles made up, I've got my little, this is usually what I glue on. It's a little cutting mat from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to pile these up just as they are on here. And set them to the side. All right, and now I'm gonna go get my sewing machine and set it up, so I will be right back. All right, so I'm gonna be sewing these snippets together. I'm gonna use a number 4, it's a zigzag stitch. This is a Brother embroidery sewing machine. Before I got into journaling, I didn't even know how to sew. So if you would like a tutorial on that, please let me know. It's not nearly as scary or intimidating as you might think for those of you who haven't sewn just because you don't know how or are scared to try. The sewing machine I got on Facebook Marketplace. So I didn't even have to buy a new one to do this, and it works great. So here's how I'm organizing my snippets. Okay, so here's a snippet. I'm gonna unload it. I'm gonna start with my large piece of fabric first, my lace, and I'm just gonna kind of crisscross it till I got it the way I want it. Kind of punching it in the middle. And then the little embellishment I'm putting off to the bottom or off to the side because I'm actually going to be adding a button. So now I'm just going to sew through the whole thing. I'm going to slide this in here. I'm going to do a couple stitches, back stitch, and then just go through. Back stitch to hold it. And there we go. First one's done. It's all put together. So now I'm just going to go through and do that to all of these. I'll show you kind of how I layered them one more time. So here's all my little pieces. I'm going to start with my fabric, then the ribbon or lace. Just going to put that on top, then the smaller pieces of ribbon, and I'm just kind of holding it in the middle to kind of keep it all together. I'm not making sure it's even, none of that. I'm just crisscrossing them on top of each other. I'm actually going to put this underneath this time. And there's the second one. So I'm just going to keep going. Now I'm going to add buttons, like I said. So I'm just going to pull out a handful of buttons. I got a bunch of buttons at Hobby Lobby the last couple weeks because they've been having a sale on buttons. So again, this is not something I'm overthinking. I'm just gonna go ahead and see where a button fits, where it looks good, and add it there. I like the wood kind of ones the best, but it really doesn't matter. Whatever you have will work. These are already so decorative. I try to use some more of the plain colored buttons for these. And I kind of place them based on size. So I don't want anything too big. Or thick, because you don't, if these are going in a junk journal, you don't want it super bulky. Play around with the buttons, see what I like until I have a combination that works. I don't want anything that looks too small for the piece either, though. Like a teeny tiny button like that, to me, just doesn't look good. That based on my personal aesthetic, you know, that's just me personally. All right, just need one more to have what I want here. I don't have to go back in. That's work. Nope, too small. There we go. All right, so these I'm gonna add back to my button jar. I've got this ginormous jar of buttons. They're not organized in any way. I just buy buttons and add them in. I told myself once I fill it up, I know I've got enough buttons, but you can never have too many buttons. Yeah, so this is my great big button jar. All right, now all I do is I grab some thread and I double up my thread just so I know that it's on there nice and tight and it's not going anywhere. So now when I go to sew these on, when I'm looking for placement, like here's a good example. I want it layered kind of collage-like, but I don't want it to entirely cover my little embellishment there. So I just kind of put it next to it, not necessarily directly in the middle either. So I've got my thread and needle, I've got it knotted, and if you've never sewn on a button, you just start from the back and try and find the hole. Okay, start from the back, pull through, and this is a 4-hole button, so I'm going to go diagonal. I'm just going to do this a couple times before I knot it off. Diagonal again. I'm going to go back to that first hole. And I'm just going to knot it. And got one completely done. There it is. Now again, if you're new to any type of sewing, I found the best way to knot your needle is to get your finger just a little bit wet. I've got a cup of water over here because I was gluing. Wrap it around your finger a couple times, and then you're gonna shimmy the string off your finger. Put your fingernail at the top of where you shimmied and pull, and you've got a knot at the end. Alright everybody, I don't know what happened to the end of my video, but where I showed you what they look like completed. So I'm re-recording that part. So I just wanted to give you a look at what we made together. Alright, here are all the little snippets. Are all done. They've got the buttons and the embellishment and the ribbons and all the little pieces. So let's look at one together. Alright, here you can see the fabric in the back, a piece of lace, a couple of little pieces of ribbon, that floral mesh, the piece of paper, the embellishment, and the button all together with the little zigzag stitch. And that's what they look like completed. They are just sweet, messy little snippets, mostly made from scraps or unused materials, and some pretty buttons. So there you go. I hope that I inspired you to make snippets if it's something that you've been intimidated by or have been confused by. I hope this video made it a little bit easier to just put some together. Hope you give it a try. And happy crafting, guys.